Hello!
And welcome to the Saucy Scribes podcast. I'm Allie, your aspiring author.
I'm Alex, your resident book psycho.
And I'm Ashley, your crystal-loving cat lady.
Welcome to the deep dive of chapters 1 through 12 of Metal Slinger. Yay!
Yeah!
Our new book.
series.
Each week, as promised, we have concocted a cocktail that best captures this stretch of chapters. If you are new to the Saucy Scribes pod, you can find our weekly cocktail every Monday on our Instagram. Does everyone have their Aloha Tide? This cocktail is obviously inspired by the seafaring culture of the Aloha. We only spend time in Aloha for this first part of the book, and it felt like a great opportunity to do something salty and briny like the sea. Cheers and drink responsibly.
Cheers! Cheers!
Our Patreon is live. If you love our show, please consider subscribing to our Patreon as a first-year scribe for $5 a month and get early access to ad-free episodes and a digital booklet of all of our cocktails each book. This is a way to support our show and help us continue to bring this amazing romantasy content to life. And also, now we are adding something new for our first-year scribes. Do you ever feel like romantasy covers can be a bit terrible? Yeah. I've always felt like publishing companies really miss the mark with the fan base of these books. Most romantasy readers want to live in a witchy cabin with a roaring fireplace and a laddered bookshelf. I want my books to look like grimoires and vintage leather tomes. I don't know about you.
Amen.
So this scribe has designed easy printable dust sleeves that mimic the look of vintage leather-bound books and will be included each month in our Patreon for the book we're covering. Yay! So also, if you have a moment, please rate and review our podcast wherever you are listening.
Before we dive in, we need to give a spoiler warning. We will be discussing the entire book and anything Rachel Schneider has said in interviews. If we reference another series spoiler, we will give a spoiler sound in the episode so you can skip ahead.
And before we dive in, a quick heads up from your Saucy Scribes. The fantasy romance world is full of magic and mayhem, but it also doesn't shy away from heavy themes. This means the books we cover may include emotional trauma, violence, or mature content that could be unsettling. So consider this your cozy but clear blanket trigger warning. Feel free to step away if needed. Your well-being comes first, always. All right, scribes, let's get into it. Welcome to the wide world of magic, our favorite part of week 1, where we ditch the drama just for a second and take a big sweeping look at the world we're about to dive into. This is where we chart the map, break down the magical rules, and take a peek behind the thrones to see who's really pulling the strings. Before the plot twists hit and the romances ruin us, we ask, what kind of world are we stepping into? And what kind of magic could tear it apart? So, light your candles, stir your potions, and get cozy, because it's time to open the book and unlock the secrets of the realm. This is Wide World of Magic. All right, scribes, let's get into the real juice of Metal Slinger, because Rachel Schneider didn't just give us a world with swords and high stakes, she gave us magical drama, and we are here for it. So, magic in this world? Sure, there's a dark forest and some trolls, but it's not just spells and sparkles. It shows up in 3 major ways: magical gifts, blood oaths, and matching bonds. And just like any good drama, each of these magical systems comes with a whole lot of baggage. So let's start with the magical gifts. Magic in this world isn't just elemental, it's deeply political. It's gifted by Mother Nature to those deemed worthy and is often passed through bloodlines. The Meili, Roisin, Kenta, Strau, and Alaha are the core territories, each with distinct gifts and legacies. Now, blood oaths? Yikes. These things are intense. They're magically binding promises. Break one, and you're done. Like, dead done. And then we've got matching bonds, the romantic soul connection kind of magic. Think Cosmic Tinder, but with way more emotional stakes. For some, the bond is beautiful, true love, magical edition. But for others, it's chaos waiting to happen. The more it pulls you to be with your match, and you resist it, It can cause dream walking and be trapped outside of your body forever in a soul state. Denying your match bond can slowly drive you both mad, and in the worst cases, destroy one another along with everyone else around you. Now, how does magic exist in those who are gifted? Well, we find out it's pretty uncomfortable to say the least. Most people awaken at a young age and it just feels like growing pains. But Bryn's awakening marks the slow reveal of her latent magic, something that begins when she touches the land and only fully unlocks after she embraces her heritage. The process is painful, rare later in life, and signals that her powers are tied directly to the land itself. Then there's Hearthstone, a rare material mined from the Earth's molten rivers. When forged by hand, it creates weapons bonded to the maker, capable of answering their call and even severing an heir's magic. Bryn unknowingly steals and carries one such blade that she made with her father as a child, linking her even further to her mysterious past. But get this, some of the characters think the whole magic origin story might just be propaganda. Yep, there's a theory floating around that King Edmund uses his divine narrative to keep the heirs on a pedestal and everyone else under his thumb. That's messy, right? Even Hollis is like, gifts? Please. Those ruin lives. So while magic is supposedly a blessing, it often feels more like a burden. And honestly, we love a morally complicated magic system. And this brings us to the real power dynamics at play. Because the magic might be complex, but the politics, even messier. We learn that Bran is not just anyone. She's Jovi, the lost princess of Melee, a kingdom in the northern mountains. She was kidnapped at a young age and doesn't remember anything before the age of 7, and her entire life has been shaped by half-truths. Her identity has been hidden not just from herself, but from those around her. But her mother, Evelyn, the Queen of Melee, has been trying to find her and cutting down anyone who seemed to have anything to do with Jovi's kidnapping. Which leads us to talking about our two main villains, Ren and King Edmund. These guys have ruled for literal centuries thanks to their magical power. And let's just say, immortality of sorts has not made them better people. They've become textbook examples of what happens when leaders cling to power for far too long. It's not the long life that corrupts them. It's the selfish obsession with staying in control. Ren's story in particular is tragic. After losing a war with Kenta, he's magically cut off from his land. It's not just symbolic. The Alaha were exiled to sea for abusing their powers of persuasion, powers that Ren, who is somehow over 300 years old, used to conquer land after land. This exile drains his power and weakens his people. It's like magical karma, but it hits everyone around him too. Meanwhile, in the present, the resistance movement is where we see the other side of the coin. Characters like Jovi, Messer, Bo, and Kai aren't seeking power for themselves. They are risking everything to take it away from the tyrants and give it back to the people. It's all about sacrifice. These friends are the heart of the rebellion. Their power isn't about control, it's about liberation. But if you thought this was a simple good versus evil story, oh no. Enter Acker. He's kind of caught in the middle. He loves Jovi, but he keeps making choices that feel more selfish than selfless. And while he has a good heart, she's not exactly handing him the rebellion playbook. Her choice to exclude him, that speaks volumes. Can someone be in love with a revolutionary without being one themselves? So, in the end, Metal Slinger gives us a world where magic is messy, leadership is complicated, and love might just get you killed. And honestly, we couldn't stop reading. So now that we've set the magical stage and exposed a few of the power players and their messes, it's time to zoom in and see how all of this unfolds from the very beginning. Alex, take us into chapters 1 through 12 because the drama starts fast and betrayals hit hard, and honestly, we need a minute to catch our breath.
Woo!
Yeah, we do.
Okay, buckle up, everyone, because we are diving into our first summary of Metal Slinger.
Woo! Woo woo!
Mm-hmm. We start our story with our seafaring character's first trip to land to visit the only Kenta market of the year. We meet our FMC Bryn, and who I will call her two sidekicks, Kai, the commander's son of the Alaha, and their friend Messer. They are there to trade in goods and scope out what the Kenta market is like as soon-to-be graduates of the Guard. They enjoy themselves, eating things that finally do not resemble a fish. Kai asks Bryn to dance, and we find out just how strict the Alaha rules are for romantic interacting. These people are worse than the town of Footloose. But somehow, Kai knows enough about romance.
Great. This is great.
But somehow, Kai knows enough about romance to ask for Bryn's hand in marriage. Obviously, when your best friend, who's basically a prince, proposes to you, you must run away.
Duh.
Of course.
Duh. While on her own, Bryn is confronted by a Kenta soldier for stealing what she is actually innocent of. He claims he's going to chop off her hand for the theft and places her hand on a piece of wall, which is part of the land. Very important, people. Except apparently the wall is made of lightning because pain, like anything she has ever felt, racks her body. She then steals his, air quotes, dagger and slices his heel to get away.
Ouch.
As they are escaping, a girl named Aurora, who is the Katy Perry to Bryn's Taylor Swift, sets off an explosion, giving them a distraction to reach the boats and get off of land. Once they make it home, everyone mostly blames Aurora for the fractured peace, and Bryn is given no choice but to marry her best friend or be turned over to the Kenta for inciting violence at the market. Guess girlfriend's gonna have to marry someone she loves, god damn it.
Damn it.
Yup. It's okay, though, because Kai shows up shortly to convince her what they have is real, and then she finally gets happy about it. Thank God.
Oh, God.
Then they go to a special training session where it's to be decided who will command their year. Messer is, of course, the lead choice and fights a man not worth his real time. He then declares Bryn is the only one who could ever best him, demanding she fight him so he can prove the title. While she definitely kicks his ass, he still gets the better of her in the end, making Messer the lead commander of their unit. As they are discussing the disappearance of fishing vessels and their people, a horn sounds. Dun, dun, dun! The Kenta soldier is on his way in a tiny boat waving a white flag and has come all this way to apologize? When Bryn is forced to confront the soldier in the brig, he tells her his name is Acker and claims he's here to apologize for the pain he caused her in putting her hand on the stone. But really, he's trying to get Bryn to uncover his secrets. Intrigued, Bryn can't leave well enough alone and sneaks back to Acker's cell to ask him even more questions. She doesn't trust him, but can't leave him to drown, which is what the Alaha intend to let happen when a storm approaches. Bryn, having none of that, sneaks into the brig before it floods and rescues our soldier using the knife she stole from him, which apparently has been her own dagger all along. As a gift because he thinks he's going to die, Acker reveals Bryn's real name is Jovi. She doesn't seem to care too much about this revelation, and she gets Acker back to her shield. She hides him. The Alaha are looking for him. Disgusted by Kai, Acker claims he's going to make Bryn leave with him, and she says that he is delusional. Is he? Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that's where we'll leave things for chapters 1 through 12. Betrayals, blood oaths, and more emotional damage than anyone was ready for. But don't worry, we're not done yet, because if you think the surface was dramatic, just wait until we start pulling at the threads underneath.
That's right. It's time to open your notes, summon your inner oracle, and dive into the deep end. Welcome to Threads of Theory, the part of the show where we untangle foreshadowing, trace hidden lore, and spin wild, possibly unhinged theories about where all of this might be headed. We're unraveling the story one thread at a time, and trust us, it's about to get twisty. Let's follow the threads. We immediately step into our characters' first conversation where it's unclear what they're really discussing. Having now read the entire book, do we think their first conversation is about not only going to land, but finding a way to slip unnoticed by their peers and stay on land? Bryn says if there's a way, and Kai confirming yes, but no one goes alone. Messer eventually says, we all go or none of us go.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of wild when you go back and reread it. This first conversation is just like, oh, we don't know what they're talking about, but they're plainly plotting their rebellion already.
Yeah.
And I think on a first read, because you know nothing about the story, you just kind of like skate past it and are like, we'll find out about this later, but you actually don't really.
Nope.
Right.
And you just
No.
forget about it.
Yeah, because it can also just easily be read as like they're just on the seas their whole life and are just looking for land. Like it's a dream.
Oh, for
You know what I mean?
sure.
Yeah.
It's just a dream. It's not a rebellion. It's just like the opposite of what they have.
When I went back to start piecing things together and saw that first line again, I literally gasped. Like, hello, incredible foreshadowing, just literally sitting there the whole time. Like, that was not just a setup, it was a coded promise.
So sneaky. Like, we're going to say that so many times. I feel like deep diving this book. She is so sneaky. And when I listened to an interview with her last night, she said that she is an extreme plotter. So she has a whole like book of note cards on her desk,
Of course
and
she
she
is.
writes plot points on note cards and keeps them like in order, and is like extremely, sounds kind of neurotic that she's like constantly being like, when did I say this? When did I say that? When did I do this?
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
To keep her story straight because of how many breadcrumbs and things she keeps in here, while
Wow.
also trying to hide and get the twist that she wants.
She's a psycho and I love every moment of it.
Yeah.
So do I.
And
Yeah.
You know what else we love? Major cosmic breadcrumbs.
We love our cosmic breadcrumbs. But this is so different from When the Moon Hatched, our last book.
Yeah.
Where it's like these breadcrumbs, when you go back and read, are so delicious and so well thought out to me.
Yeah.
And it's not just random,
Like we must put this in, or like this is so on the nose.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, these ones, they felt a bit more like biscuits on a second read even. I'm like,
Ooh,
a
puzzle
cosmic
biscuit.
biscuit.
The dough is rising. Okay.
I love
Oh,
it.
yes.
Okay.
Well, and so that breadcrumb leads us straight into the market scene, because once they're on land, the entire vibe shifts and they're scanning everything like a puzzle. And it quickly becomes clear that Alaha might not be quite as hemmed in. I don't know. The market is more than just a pit stop, it's also a boundary.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I found was wild.
The way they describe it was very like, it's like a valley in between two mountains and you cannot cross this terrain. It's almost like a actual physical border so that the Alaha cannot go beyond the market.
Right.
And they keep them on docks.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't put that together until even the second read. And I was like, click, it's a dock. That's why it's a wall. Like,
Mm-hmm. Well, and two, they even make a comment because, like, now on a reread, they're scoping out how to like stay on land essentially for the rebellion and get to the other kingdoms. And one of them says something about how do they get all the people here for the market? Like, how do these people get here? Because it doesn't look like there's really a way to.
Right.
Yeah. We even get that quote, there's not a single foothold or crack for anyone to use as leverage to scale the walls.
Mm-hmm.
But so how'd they get there? Do they take little boats?
Yeah, I feel like hopefully in book 2 we might get the answer to that.
Yeah.
She's obviously thought of whatever way they get there.
Yeah.
We just don't get to know what it is.
Maybe we will have Acker's POV from that point on. I don't know.
Ooh.
Right. So in one of Rachel Schneider's interviews, she did say the next book, Light Wielder, is a dual POV. We are assuming it's Acker. She said it's the FMC and MMC, but she wouldn't clarify if that means Acker or Kai. So, but I think it's Acker. Yeah, I think it's Acker.
I think we're all team Acker on this side.
Yeah.
I don't.
Sorry, Kai.
Sorry,
No,
Kai.
Kai's not that. Kai's
We're
not
here
the
for
MMC.
the alphas, man. Alpha
No,
male.
Kai's not the MMC.
Yeah.
He's the like quirky best friend to me. Like he's a very, spoiler for those who haven't read Fourth Wing, he's like way less annoying version of Dane, like the childhood love.
I agree.
Yeah, the childhood love best friend who I think will still grow to love eventually.
Yeah.
Well, and there's even a piece to where Bryn says, if I leave, you'll have to marry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, I don't know. I think there is like a finality there. So who knows? We might not even see Kai again.
Oh, we're definitely going to see
We're
Kai
going to
again.
see him. We've got to. We've got to see him.
Well, so while they're at the market, it doesn't seem like they're on like a shopping spree. I think it's kind of alluded to as like, oh, you're going to go here and this is a cool thing that you get to do, but they are on a clear path. Are they trying to see if they can make it on land is the biggest question. And then they see all the walls and then realize that they can't even make it.
No, yeah, I think that's definitely what they're trying to do. Their secret mission, not what the guards are normally there to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And we don't realize the first read, you think it's just because, well, I mean, who wouldn't want to figure out a way to stay on land if you've been stuck at sea your whole life?
Exactly.
And then on the reread, it's for like the whole rebellion.
Yeah, they're gathering intel this whole time.
Exactly. And then during the market, Kai and Bryn start dancing, having fun, and Kai asks Bryn to take his hand in marriage. Yeah. Even though now we know Bryn is a very unreliable narrator.
Spoiler.
To say the least.
She does seem genuinely surprised that he would want to marry her. And she says she has no family and no dowry, no incentives for marriage. I'm the bottom of the list. But now we know as the readers that she's aware that she's a stolen princess from the mainland this whole time.
Yeah.
So why does she feel this way?
I mean, I also feel like the real question is like, why does she still see herself as unworthy? Is it some kind of internalized shame from decisions that she made before? Is it a side effect of growing up in a society that consistently devalued her? Is it like nature versus nurture?
I think it's that.
Yeah.
But also I think it's because we have to remember, even though she's been told that she's the stolen princess from Melee, she actually still doesn't have her memories from before she's 7. And you can be told something a million times and not believe it. So she doesn't have any of that background actually that she remembers influencing her thoughts to think, oh yeah, I'm a princess. She really doesn't think she's a princess.
Yeah.
She's been told it,
not,
but it's not there.
Not convinced that she actually knows that she's a princess. Why? Because she continuously talks about how her parents disappeared. It was a fishing expedition. And I don't really feel like I get any good indicator from her at any point in the book that she knew that she was a princess before.
She does. In the chapter where it like flashes back, chapter 56, she says to Kai, she's like, oh, Acker doesn't think I know anything about my past, that you haven't told me who I am. She says it.
But what has he told her?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, he could have told her that he didn't have to say she was a princess. But I mean, here's the thing. These are the little holes that I'm hoping book 2 will put together for us, because it's kind of like we now know, spoiler, that she's an unreliable narrator. And I'm sure we're going to say that so many times. So it kind of makes us question the wording and the verbiage that Rachel uses in these things, because it leaves so much room for potential interpretation that could go one way or the other.
So I read a theory on Reddit last night, and I'm so sorry I don't remember whose theory this was. I can try and find it and hopefully give credit in our notes. But they said that they felt like the reason she's an unreliable narrator is because there are mind readers in this world. So she's trained herself to think only in the lies she's supposed to know.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Which is really cool. I actually really love that theory, that she has trained herself to only think about like, well, I was told my parents died in a fishing expedition, so that's all I need to think and try and remember, because someone might be listening.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I buy it.
Good theory.
Which is why on a reread, it's very clear that whenever she's lying, for the most part, it's always in quotations that she's speaking out loud. She never thinks, oh, I'm about to lie to this person. She just does it. And that also might be one of the reasons why, and also why she gets so freaked out when the mind reader, tries to look into her brain.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa.
Great.
I know. Mind blown. Great.
Here for it.
But yeah, I think when it comes back to, her self-worth, I do think that she has just been conditioned, because she does have this sense of, even with her whole rebellion and the way she sees the kingdoms, the way she sees the Alaha is even like, all these people should not have been blamed for Ren's mistakes. No one person is above the greater. And so I think in her mind, even if she knows she's a princess, which I think she does, she doesn't think she deserves more than anybody else.
Fair. which
Ooh.
is a beautiful
We love a humble
sentiment.
queen.
Yes, we love
we love a humble queen.
Except for when it goes too far, when she doesn't believe that she even deserves love.
Right, here we go again with this theme that we covered too much in the last book. But this whole this insecurity, you guys, trauma, the things that we have to learn, forgive, forget, we're conditioned to do, we whatever, and it always comes down to like, maybe I don't deserve love. Maybe I'm unworthy of love until someone comes and proves to you otherwise.
Right. Which luckily I feel like we do see a lot of. She obviously lets Acker love her eventually.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So.
And it's great.
It's so good. I can't wait to get
so
there.
Great. Yeah, me too.
I'm like bursting at the seams.
Yeah, I know. It was hard to just work on chapters 1 through 12, honestly.
Yes. Agreed.
Either way, our girl panics and runs away from Kai, even though we're not supposed to be alone at the market. This gives a Kenta soldier the opportunity to start following her and eventually confront her. Enter Acker, our MMC that we think is the MMC. He makes up some story about theft to make her put her hand on the wall, aka land. I think on the surface, after finishing the book, it's to awaken her magic, but in actuality, he's doing it to confirm it's really her. And I think he says as much. He thinks he's seeing a ghost, and her magic tangling with his is his confirmation that it's really her and she's alive.
Yes.
Also, 2 books back to back where the guy thought the person they loved was dead, and they think they're seeing a ghost, and they're not.
I know what's happening here.
Well, I also had a thought when reading through it the second time for these chapters. So someone had reminded her to fix her face because she kept looking at everybody who looked like they were stunned to see her. And part of me is like, do they also recognize her? I mean, it would be difficult because she was a child.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think this goes back to like, if you're looking for it, you're going to find it. And so maybe if that is true, she's looking for people to recognize her. So she has this sort of sense of like, oh my God, do they recognize me? But I doubt it, because I think if they did, it would be a very different moment at the market.
For sure. I think Acker is the only one who recognizes her because he knows her face better than anyone. Back when he was a little kid, he thought that she was his match. So
maybe he's like kind of pulled to her too, just like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, no, that's her.
Yeah. But he like just doesn't believe it. He's like, there's no way. I've searched every face in every town for so long, and I've given up any hope that she's still alive. And then she just waltzes into the market one day, and he's just like, no fucking way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give me your hand.
Yep.
Yeah, give me your hand. Let me cause you immeasurable pain. And also, like,
as a
where was he going with it? Like obviously he wasn't going to cut her hand off, but like all the other soldiers are around him. How is he going to get out of trying to cut her hand off?
Yep.
Yeah.
I hope he had a plan.
I mean, I don't think he was trying to cut her.
He's quite thorough, I feel like.
He's quite thorough.
He thinks ahead. And what does Bren do in true chaotic, neutral fashion? She fights back. She grabs the knife, her own dagger, we find out, though she doesn't know that yet. And she slices Acker. And then they run. But here's where it gets spicy. As they escape, Aurora sets off explosives. Now, did the crew know that was coming? What do you think?
So this is one of those things that is on a reread. They obviously act like they didn't know, but they're actually the head of this rebellion. So did they know?
Yeah.
I do believe that they knew Aurora was going to go full demolition mode.
I actually think that she went rogue.
I think so too. I think she went rogue.
Well, because later in the book, so spoiler, read the book. Kai tells Bryn the explosion was supposed to look like an accident, but he must know you had something to do with it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was like, oh no, they knew.
Yeah.
But I mean, the web could be very tangled.
Yeah. This is probably me making it more complicated than it is, but there's a world, if we're going to establish based on that Reddit theory that like you can sort of train your mind to know or not know things. So if a mind reader comes along, like perhaps there are things that decisions that they've made that they keep from the others just until it happens. And then they make them aware of it just so that it keeps it safer. because, you know, the more people know about what's going on, the less safe it becomes. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
know. Who
Right.
knows? Maybe they found out after, because this way, when they get, you know, interrogated or whatever, they can actually say they didn't know or whatever, you know?
Okay, wait. As you were talking, something clicked in.
Okay.
So we know that the Alaha were given the power of influence, and Kai's powers are more powerful the closer he is to land. What if he influenced Aurora to do it? And so Aurora didn't even technically know that
Oh.
she was part of the rebellion.
I do think she's part of the
Interesting.
rebellion because of the way she kind of floats in their group and how attached she is to Messer and all of that. I think, but I do like that idea that maybe she didn't know as a rebellion member that that was what she was going to
Because
do.
she walked out casually as if she didn't even fully realize like what was happening, which I thought was weird on the first read, because she just like strolls out and I'm like picturing her like peeling an apple almost. I don't know
I just
why.
picture her as a badass though, as like that like devil
Like
may
a scene,
care like attitude of just like I don't care
like
who I'm about
slow
to
walk.
blow up.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the way that they describe her is like she's not just a like a girl with explosives. She's moving with a purpose. So she's definitely like one of the core team. And yeah, Messer's engagement with her, the political play, like Trojan horse kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think we really have to keep our eye on her for the next book. Like,
I just feel like she's so much more important than this little part of the book we
Mm-hmm.
get
I
her
agree.
in.
I agree.
Yeah.
For a moment, she was also like part of my bud. I was like, I need to know more about her because we got to
Mm.
keep our eyes on her, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Either way, the dust finally settles and they're reporting back to Captain Wren. It's kind of what they don't say that speaks way more volumes, I think,
Mhm.
Mhm.
because not a single one of them even mentioned Bryn placing her hand on the stone.
Mhm.
And hello, like that feels so
It
calculated.
is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They
And
all knew exactly what was happening when that was happening.
yeah, which also now, again, as you reread, it's because Wren would know that she started her awakening.
Uh-huh.
What? Oh my goodness. So basically, they completely scrub the narrative and they keep her powers under wraps. And we have the line where Kai supposedly couldn't stop Acker, and Wren calls it an act of helplessness.
Yeah, I do find it interesting. Now I feel like I kind of actually get why Kai couldn't stop Acker because Acker's probably trained his mind to not let those
Mm-hmm.
types of influences affect him. But
Yeah.
Kai has probably never encountered anyone who's trained to do that really,
Yeah.
besides like
Correct.
his tiny little
Yeah.
circle that
Yeah.
he's taught to train against his father.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, Wren has finally clocked Aurora and deemed her a rebel with the Alaha faction that wants a war with Kenta. So, does he realize that the leader is his own son? Because I don't think so.
No, I don't
No
think
way. He has no fucking
so.
clue.
No, he's a clueless
No
man.
way.
I love it.
But I think it's because they've been so sneaky with their thoughts. I feel like the rebellion is what we said very the chain of command is you only know what you need to know and
Yeah.
no one knows everything.
Yeah, it's like the
Mhm.
mafia. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so I don't think even the people in the rebellion know who's the rebellion leader.
I think
Which
that's
is
smart.
good
Yeah.
for the rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is how Ren also doesn't know.
Correct.
And also, the conversation around Aurora reads like they're trying to protect her from the leadership. And so I think it is like kind of part of that same kind of insurance policy to where it's a subtle way to make sure she doesn't expose the rest of the movement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I do kind of feel like that still ties into Kai potentially influencing her to do the bombing.
Maybe.
Could be.
The only problem I see with that is Kai doesn't like to use his powers to get people to do things that they don't want to do. So like
Sweet
unless
boy.
yeah, when he finds out Acker even suggests that he's been influencing Bryn,
He was so
he's
upset.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
completely disgusted. Like he has that sense of right and wrong and like you should not force people to do things that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
Which is
That makes sense
great.
to me. Yeah.
Unless like if you sign up for the rebellion, you're also signing up to like at any point you could be influenced to do something like that. But it
Yeah.
feels very weird and kind of open ended. And then they obviously would know who the leader was. So like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't know.
Feels like a juxtaposition and antithesis to what they're actually fighting for, which is removing the ultra powerful from power. Speaking of secrets and shifting alliances, that brings us right back to Bryn. And now she's back on Oahu soil and back in the thick of it all.
Into the thick of it.
Yeah. Bryn finally makes it back to her shield, and we get our first glimpse of now who we know is Messer as a bird and her neighbor Grenadine. Do we think at this point in the story, Bryn knows that Messer is the bird?
No,
I don't think
I don't
so.
think so.
Absolutely
I think
not.
this is actually something she didn't know, and he's been like using it as his escape from his abusive father.
Yeah, it's terrifyingly
Devastating.
sad. Yeah.
It's so devastating,
Yeah.
and I do love this like friendship between them, even though and I feel like he's like she took care of him. That's how she found him with his broken wing, which is probably broken from his dad, like his actual arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she
Oh.
nursed him back to health. I know, I can't.
It's so beautiful. Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Their friendship is so pure.
It really
know.
is.
I know.
I love
It's
it. I love
true
that there's
love.
no real like romantic tension. Like it's very
At all.
Yeah. No, it's just pure love. Like
It
friendship
reminds
love.
me a lot, spoiler for Akatar, of Feyre and Cassian.
I
Of
love
how it's just like a
Cassian, yeah.
it's just a pure like happy, we love each other friendship, and we'll
Yeah.
always be there for each
Yeah.
other.
Family.
Family,
Mhm.
exactly. So I don't think she knows that he's the bird, but I do think that Kai would know he's the bird, which is why he immediately takes off when Kai enters the room.
Right.
Because as we know, Kai is the one who awakened Messer's magic.
Right.
Yeah. So I also think one of the reasons Messer doesn't tell her is I think she would be upset that Kai awakened Messer's magic and not her magic
I
all
agree.
this time.
Yeah. Totally.
And that would feel a little bit like a betrayal.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair. But he probably, I'm assuming, didn't have enough dirt to do both.
He didn't have enough dirt.
Bad dirt.
Like I'm picturing Kai sneaking into his dad's office, like stealing some of this
Stealing
precious
some
dirt.
soil, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like slowly sprinkling it on Messer over the years.
Unbelievable.
He's
Yeah.
like pixie
Yeah.
dust.
Yeah, and like at the end of the day, Messer's his best friend, even though he loves Bryn. He's like, I'm gonna get my bro.
Yeah, he needs
Yeah.
a man.
Although
Yeah.
I am curious to know how he even knew Messer would have powers, but I wonder if there was like a little accidental moment even where he got like dirt on him in some way, and then he was like, "Oh, Messer has powers. We should awaken those." Or maybe his dad is also a shapeshifter and we just don't know that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know officially.
So Kai tells Bryn that they're going to release Aurora back to the population in hopes that she leads them to the rebellion. They call her a loose cannon here, which makes me think it just enforces the idea to me that they were not part of the plan.
Yeah.
That I think even inside the rebellion, she's a loose cannon to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yikes.
exactly. He also basically convinces her here that he wants to marry her romantically instead of out of necessity. Wow.
A love story.
Yeah, it's so weird because even though he's kissed her over the years, she's like she never actually believed he had real feelings for her because she's this urchin.
Because of her conditioned insecurities and lack of self-love, or is it because he's not her match, her mate?
I'm wondering if it's because obviously touch is so frowned upon in the society that like maybe she thought growing up it was just him like having hormones and trying to explore stuff with her, and she was like I'm just the only girl he feels comfortable with doing with this because he knows I won't get him caught. I would never tell anyone. And we're kids just experimenting. Like he doesn't really love me.
Ew. Like boys will be boys vomit.
Yeah.
Gross.
But I mean, growing up, were you like, I'm gonna marry my kindergarten boyfriend? No.
No. Yeah.
Maybe she kind of was coming from the perspective of like, you're kind of like my brother. Like I've been living with you and your family.
Yeah.
Maybe there's almost like a sibling thing there. So she's a little bit hesitant to cross that because she's like, well, I've kind of known you since I remember.
Yeah, it's certainly
anything.
nuanced. We do have a nuanced FMC for
Yes.
sure.
Yes, she's
That's
very
an
nuanced.
excellent way to describe her.
We do.
Yes.
Yeah. So then we cut to the training session, and officially, Messer is named commander. He beats Willard, sure, but then insists on fighting Bryn because he sees her as his real competition. And I love this moment. It says so
Sweet
much
baby.
about how respected Bryn is by her peers, like, well, some of them, especially Messer, like the friendships that she has fostered. She is respected and valued, but especially Messer, even in a society that clearly doesn't believe women should lead or fight. He
Mm-hmm.
wants to earn his title the right way. And for him, that means facing her.
And I feel like it's a big stance to take two in front of everyone
I
else,
agree.
showing that women can also be just as deadly, because I'm sure that Commander knows that Bryn is the only one to have almost ever beaten him, but in his mind, because of their society, is like,
Yeah.
well, she's not the one he's gonna
Right.
face.
No, because of her position in society, because she's a woman, all of these position in quotations, all of these things. But she holds her own. She's fierce, she's strategic. It's such a validating moment. Like, even in a rigged system, her skill is undeniable.
I also think about what probably Messer's dad thought of that, and that just makes me so sad.
Oh, he probably got
He
a
probably
good
got
talking to. Yeah.
Because he was like, you had the chance to fight someone worth fighting, and then you fought a girl. Like, this isn't, I don't know. His father is very misogynistic, seemingly.
Yeah.
So
It seems so.
It seems a
so.
bit. Yeah.
So, but after this, Kai kisses her in front of everyone as what? Some kind of like public declaration after an honorable fight, and straight to the brig. Straight to the brig for a kiss. I mean, harsh much? It's giving control the narrative energy from Ren, and I don't love it.
Oh,
okay, wait, but those pages cracked me up because it was like, maybe it won't be so bad. And then you turn the page and then it's like, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Good writing.
sorry, no. It really shows us that control narrative that even Acker points out to Bryn later, that Ren has made up all of these rules to further control his people, further control who's having kids with who, to maybe produce the best powers. We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the no touching.
Yeah.
Right, exactly, because it's, as we know now, physical touch is such a huge part of mates and
Awakenings
and bonds and all the things. It's crazy. But once they're released, Kai tells Bryn that another vessel has disappeared, and apparently this isn't new. Ships have been vanishing for years, and it's gotten so bad that Ren is considering canceling fishing expeditions entirely. I'm sorry, most of their food sources fish, no?
Like what?
Like,
what are they gonna eat?
Yeah. So some
and they
people
can't
think,
go to the market anymore.
like, what's the plan here, sir? But I mean, some people think it's sea creatures that are destroying these ships. Maybe that giant squid we keep hearing about. But honestly, I'm not buying it. This has been escalating over the last 3 years, I think. Why now? Why this pattern? What has changed? My theory, it's either sabotage, something magical, something trying to call someone home, perhaps. I don't know.
I think it's definitely sabotage. I'm curious if it's either Royson or Ren working together. It's funny because the rebellion is trying to start a war. I also wonder if Ren is also trying to start a war, just in a different way.
Yeah,
and
I
they
think
don't
so.
realize they have the same goal, but for different reasons.
It's kind of like he would starve his people to get his people riled up for the war that he wants. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me too.
I do think later in the book it says that Ren and Royson have made an alliance. And so they were like, it's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
War is coming.
Crazy. But before we can spiral too deeply into this, the horn sounds. A ship is approaching, and of course, it's Acker. Stormy-eyed and smirking, come to confront the Alaha and Bryn herself. That night, Bryn dreams of wildflowers in a meadow, grass moving like waves, wind curling through it like breath. And I have to ask, what do you think triggered this vision, ladies?
Acker!
Is it Acker's presence? Is it something mate bonded? Something ancient? Maybe awakening her past?
She also touched the wall.
Is it the wall? Is it the
She
dagger?
had a little bit of awakening.
Yeah. It's definitely the awakening. It could be the dagger calling her to a purpose. It could be proximity to all of these things. And yeah, like back in chapter 2 when she pressed her hand to the stone wall and felt pain, maybe that moment was the first spark, the first memory. Either way, something is stirring and she is not ready for it, but I am. What do you guys think?
I do think it's probably more the awakening,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
I feel like the reason she doesn't have her memories is someone magically did that to her.
Yeah.
So now her magic's
Agree.
fighting back
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
Do
awakening.
you think that she herself also had a blood oath of
Oh,
some kind?
interesting.
Like she signed up for this knowing that this was going to happen. And so she did some kind of a blood oath where she can't talk about it. So therefore, her narrative has always been like maybe it was a willing thing.
No, I
Hmm.
can't imagine someone making like a 7-year-old take a blood oath. That
I
just
know.
feels really dark,
I
even for a
mean,
romantasy series.
yeah,
She
fair.
does say that she and Kai did it, but then Acker was like, "But you were missing the most important part of the last part of the like children's tale or whatever, the dirt, the soil,
Right.
whatever."
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think it was a blood oath. I think it was someone who has an ability like Ren's who could make you forget or block your memories. Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
I think that magic in this world does seem to be very layered and deeply connected to emotions and memories. So I do think it could also be like a very tangled mix of like the presence, the dagger, her touching land. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like a tangled web of all of those.
Ab-
But now I kind of want to talk about Messer again
Ugh.
because things get real very fast. The next morning, Bryn spots a bruise on Messer's jaw, and she instantly knows that it obviously was not from training. She was like, I was
Mm.
there. That didn't happen. It was from his father. We are definitely getting a very crystal clear picture of how terrible and toxic Messer's dad is, and probably his life. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why he decides to escape with her. I
Yeah.
don't know that it was necessarily like
Mm.
planned. Kai is
Yeah.
like, don't tell Messer, he'll lose his shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? So then Bren drops a bombshell and admits that she kept the blade that she snagged from Acker during their market fight. And Messer's immediate reaction was get rid of it immediately.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that was a really good call because then she's hauled in to the interrogation brig to interrogate Acker alongside Kai. And I don't know, the thing that was so crazy about that, and I think it was meant to purposefully jar you as a reader, is the fact that they were stripped of all of their weapons. But then didn't Kai have a hidden weapon during that time?
He
Sure
did.
did.
So, and that moment hits hard. It shows just how tight the leash is, I think, that Ren keeps even on his own son and how deep the control runs.
Oh yeah.
And
Goes.
honestly, I think the reason they're not allowed to have weapons in that room is specifically to Acker. I think they know exactly who he is.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
He's a metal slinger. Did you hear?
Yeah, because they know a lot more about what's going on the mainland than they tell their people, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
Yeah.
as all dictatorships do.
Dun dun
As they
dun.
all do. So when Bryn first walks into the brig with Kai to meet Acker, Acker immediately, first words out of his mouth, needs to know why her scent is all over the brig. And as romantasy
So
readers,
spicy.
this is not an uncommon trope to us, though, when
Nope.
reading stories about Fae. But remember, this story is not about Fae, they're humans.
Yeah.
And we later learn that this is a trait only Acker possesses as a metal slinger, and he can smell the different types of levels of iron in people's blood, which is a insane skill.
Insane. It's very vampiric of him, you know?
I
It
don't know that
is.
I would want that.
I don't know that I would either.
I mean, I don't think it's about want. It's a tool. It's a powerful tool that you can smell the presence
Fair.
of sound. It's a good war tool. I mean, blood is everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good tool.
it is. And he's probably so used to it, it probably doesn't bother him
Yeah,
at
he
all.
doesn't know he probably, I mean, pre-awakening, I suppose, but he doesn't really know life
Mhm.
without it.
No. But this idea, it immediately enforces the idea to Acker that Bryn must be a true prisoner here, and that maybe she's been tortured in that room, or that she's a real prisoner. And even worse, has no free will due to the nature of Ren and Kai's gifts. Whew, Acker. While it's honestly a very easy assumption to make,
It
we
is.
know from the twist at the end that he is sorely misled. And this is, I will say, one of the only things I don't love about Acker is he makes a ton of assumptions and loves to play the white knight a little bit too much without actually getting to know her.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
he's overwhelmed by the fact that she's just alive. So he just is, his mind is in one single place. He's not actually thinking the way a warrior should think, or, anyone who just hasn't seen someone in so long.
It's
Yeah.
an easy assumption to make that she wouldn't be treated fairly there or that she has been a true prisoner all of these years
Yeah,
because he sees Ren as a true villain too.
absolutely.
Like, why would she be living a cushy life?
And the
Yeah.
story is that she was kidnapped, and her own mother corroborated that story, that she was
Mhm.
in fact kidnapped and then killed someone for it. So there hasn't been much doubt in his conditioning or his what the stories that he's been told, that she was kidnapped, you know?
And I think this is one of Acker's limitations is that he does take what he's told at face value. He doesn't question things. It's the same thing with his father. He never questions the things that his father does because he's always looking
That's
for
why
that
he needs
Right.
approval.
Bo.
Which is
I know.
why
And
everything has happened the way it has happened, and perhaps they have awakened that part of him at the end of the book too. He will maybe start thinking in that way, like, oh, yeah,
yeah, but lucky for him, Bryn is still intrigued by him and visits him again. While she does mostly know the truth, I do think there realistically is a lot she does not know. We have to remember Kai doesn't even know much about how she was taken or the state of her parents, if they're alive or dead. So I don't think any of her curiosity is unreliable here. I think she genuinely is curious and wants to know because there's only so much Kai could have ever told her.
right.
Hmm.
I genuinely think she believes that her parents were not fishermen. I think she doesn't know if they're still alive. She doesn't know anything outside the realm of, yeah, Kai told me I'm this person, but that's all he knows too. Like, there's no way Ren is confiding in Kai.
Right. No.
So,
No, it's pretty clear that it's a tight-lipped family.
yeah. So I do think all of her curiosity here is genuine. She's not playing Acker or us as the reader.
Yeah.
However, that being said, I do think she knows way more about magic than she's letting on to him here. We
Hmm.
get our first mention of her as Acker's match. He says that she has beautiful eyes. They're brown and green and amber, like every color of every season. I've looked everywhere for eyes like hers, and nothing has ever been able to compare.
Swoon.
Such a
Swoon
swoon.
moment.
Obsessed.
Yes, but this is such a tricky moment because this immediately makes you question as the reader, wait, is he not the MMC or not? Because the second the dark stranger walks in, you're
Yeah,
like, oh, this is the
that's him.
guy.
Yeah.
But this moment tricks us because we know at this point that that's not her eye color. And that is a
It's
very
gray.
physical description of someone that
Yeah.
you're like, well, those just aren't her eyes, though. It's so tricky.
Yeah.
Rachel Schneider. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
And we learn
It's
so much
so
later
good.
on, yes,
Yeah.
that the Alaha eye color is changed for everyone because of being away from the land from magic. And that's
Yeah.
why that's not her eye color. And it's just so good. And I love it
It's so
so
good. No, it's
much.
so smart.
They're
It's so smart.
bleached
Yeah.
from the
They're
water.
drained of all their color.
Of in the very beginning of the story, it does make you think that she could still be one of them because she has the same eye color as all of them. So you
Hmm.
think like, oh, maybe one of her parents is not from there, but
Totally.
the other one was, and she really is part of this culture. It completely
Totally.
tricks you into thinking that she really is one of them
Hmm.
Totally.
when she wasn't.
Yeah. It's a great little breadcrumb.
A
A
cosmic
cosmic
breadcrumb.
breadcrumb. Okay, so it's graduation day. Everyone's buzzing, and suddenly we find out that Messers matched with Aurora. I'm sorry, what? Like, yeah, they've flirted, but his dad is like a stone cold social climber and terrible and abusive and certainly doesn't seem to care about who he actually likes. And Aurora has no dowry, no standing. So why her? Are his parents pushing him, or is there something more going on with Aurora? Maybe some rebellion ties that we just haven't really fully figured out yet. I
This
don't
is
know.
so interesting to me and such a weird thing that happens. And the only reason I feel is the reason is that, I mean, we know Messer's dad's character at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that he is purposely trying to keep his son from becoming more powerful than him.
Oh,
Yeah,
He gets worse.
he does. He gets worse.
he gets worse. Okay.
I don't think his dad has anything to do with the rebellion because he seems like such a piece of shit. Like, I just
Agreed.
don't see that being the thing. Unless maybe Aurora has powers of her own we don't know about, but then how would his dad know that? Like, you know what I mean? I think, yeah, he's trying to keep his son down.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think Aurora is more powerful than we know. I think she has like a really interesting story that we have yet to find out.
What if
I
she's a
agree.
mind reader?
Well,
Whoa.
yeah. Or what if what if she's also like royalty in some way? Like, who knows? She could be anything.
Could
True.
be.
I'm leaning maybe she's a mind reader, and that's why she blew up the dock without them telling her to, because she saw that they all needed that distraction
Yeah.
truly.
I
And was
would-
like,
I would
I'm
buy
gonna do
that.
something.
Or she's like Greta, who we haven't met yet in these chapters,
Oh.
and she can see the future.
Although
Okay.
she would have had to have been on land to get any of those powers, so I also doubt any of that.
But we don't really know her backstory at all.
No.
Well, anyway, then we get
We'll see.
the blue flag. The storm is coming, and a bad one. And Bryn immediately knows what's happening. She puts it together in seconds. Ren is planning to let the Prince of Kenta drown in a flooded brig. I mean, hello. If she and Kai know that Acker's the prince, Ren definitely knows. So is this like negligence? Is this something more sinister? Does Ren want a war with Kenta? It kind of follows some of the other plot points we were talking about how he is plotting the war himself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, because to everyone else, he hasn't told anyone that that's the prince. We all know it's the prince. So to everyone in their little kingdom, it's like, oh, they're just letting a random soldier die. But like in reality, you're gonna let the prince die. You don't see repercussions from that. Are
Of
you
course you will.
insane?
Like, what?
Well, you get the line from Kai to where he's like, "No, we were gonna put him in a boat and make it look like an accident. Like, why did you do this?" And it's like, you really thought that was gonna make it better? Like, they know he was
Yeah.
coming here.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So dumb. So dumb.
and he was without his sentries now. So like,
Yeah, I do
it makes
think
no sense.
Ren. It just leads to that thread that Ren wants a war with Kenta too. Like,
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
But here's the thing, like they put him in metal chains. If they knew he was Metal Slinger, wouldn't he be able to get out of that? Wouldn't they know if they stripped everyone of their weapons because they knew he was a Metal Slinger, then why would they put him in metal?
that's a great question.
So
I'm so curious to go back and look because I don't know that my brain connected.
I didn't clock that either.
And also, like, she had to break the seal.
I think the seal was I think that was a magical seal, and I think because it was the knife that breaks I think it was Ren's magic or whatever it was.
Yes, I
because
agree.
it breaks the ties of magic. I think whatever that was like
Got
for
it.
that.
Because he's very
okay.
specifically like, you have to use your knife. It can't be like something else.
Yeah.
And we know
Like,
Hearthstone
why
has
couldn't
like
he just like
magical
pull the
properties.
pin? You know.
Yeah, there's something else there for sure.
Wait, like pull the pins in the door like in Ever After?
Yes. Yes.
He'll go down in
Ever
history as the
After.
man who opened a door.
Yes. Okay, so here's Bryn, our quiet rule follower, secretly the match of the very boy about to drown, sneaking into the brig to save him. And this moment is so layered. She's trying to get Acker to pitch to her why she should save him, maybe hoping he'll confess that he's the prince. But what does he say? I'm never going to tell you something just to benefit myself. Ouch. Because let's be real, Bryn does not reciprocate that energy. She's been keeping her own secrets and playing both sides from the jump.
In her defense, though, she doesn't do it to benefit herself. She's doing it to benefit the Alaha people.
Correct. But it still would sting to hear someone say that. And you're like, oopsies. So.
But at this point, she also doesn't love him.
No.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't.
She's like, I don't care who you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She helps him, though.
You're a means to an end.
Yeah. And this is the first time we see her use magic. When Acker teaches her how to call the dagger back to her hand, in a very swift fashion.
Before we all die.
Of course, she doesn't believe that she can do it. She talks down to herself, doubts her strength, but the magic answers because deep down, the blade knows her. And then
but she's also never used magic before. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Like, She's probably like this. And she knows she's not awakened. She's probably like, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah, exactly. And yet it did. And then chills, he says her real name. Her real name is Jovi. Now, did she know the details of that? Like, do you think Faylene or Ren ever told her like her
No.
name? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Well, Faylene and Ren never told her anything. Everything she knows is from Kai.
Fair, but
Yeah.
do you think Kai knows from Faylene?
I don't
or
think
Ren?
Kai knew her name. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Suddenly she's not
Maybe.
Bryn anymore, and everything is about to change.
Yeah, that moment where Acker finally drops her name is just such a huge moment in the book because it's like, wait, you're not Bryn?
Yeah.
Mhm.
What?
Wait, you have magic and it's not your name? Yeah.
Jovi. And I like how she ruminates on it for a second. She's like, Jovi.
She's like, is
I
that
would.
my
I'd be
name?
like, does that work for me? Ashley, is
Do I
that
look like a
good
Jovi?
name? I don't know.
Do I look like a Jovinia?
Yeah.
But okay, let's dive into that juicy moment right after she breaks them out. And neither one of them are in fact dead, which is great. And she's like, you know what? He's going to die. So I got to keep him alive. So she takes him back to her shield. And then she's like, God, now I have to feed him so he doesn't starve.
Gotta take care of this man. Good grief.
Yeah.
She's like, all I've ever taken care of is a bird. Like,
And this
But-
one's snarling at me.
yeah, this one has an attitude. But then this scene is also particularly interesting because we get that full on deception that drops later in chapter 56, which is a flashback to right before this moment. That when Kai shows up searching her shield, he already knows that Acker is there. Bryn even says Kai doesn't like this turn of events. He's stressed. We're led to think that Kai is worried about the fact that Acker escaped, but no, the real stress is about their sneaky new plan. Bryn is going to head out of Alaha with Acker. It is so clever. It is so underhanded. It is. And on top of that, this is the first time that Kai actually uses his powers on Bryn. He didn't want to,
No.
but
And she
honestly,
consented.
she consented.
Yeah.
He tells her, I love you for the first time as part of the ruse. And, you know, that kind of felt a little bit off because they knew they were both lying. And so then he says that, and she was like, wait, so are you fucking with me right now? Like, I don't know.
I don't like that
I
part
didn't like
either.
it. I didn't like it.
Also, so Bryn has never experienced any of Kai's powers before because as we find out, he's never used it until this time. And so the magic knocks her out. Interesting.
Mhm.
Um,
And Acker even makes a comment of like, oh, he overdid it.
And though that was exactly the proof that Acker wanted that Kai was using his power on her. So basically, he ate it up.
Yep. And their plan worked to deceive Acker.
And that was basically the whole foundation that he used to build this case against Alaha and Rin to get Bryn out of there.
Masterful.
Oh, it's so crazy. It's so juicy. And when you go back and reread it, it's just like, ugh. I can't believe it. So then when she wakes up, Acker is like, okay, girl, like, let's spill the tea because he wants to tell her what he thinks Bryn doesn't know about how magic really works in the other kingdoms and the story of Alaha's exile. And he's just assuming that Rin wouldn't share this version. So I think he's just like, listen, let me tell you what the real story is.
To him. The real story to him. I don't think it's the real story either.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because his dad is equally as terrible as Ren.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So in doing all of this, Acker claims that Kai's powers are super weak. But if we jump back into 56, Bryn thought Kai was insanely powerful. So I don't know. I think they kind of have zero frame of reference, to be
Agreed.
honest.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So maybe Kai's magic is weak since he never lived on land, but also, again, no frame of reference. So
Yeah, I think what they think is strong is not the same strong to Acker.
yeah, No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys have not seen anything yet. But then the kicker here is that Acker tries to convince Bryn to leave with him, and she very convincingly says, "Over my dead body." But again, like, this is what
She's
she
playing him.
wanted. Oh
Yeah.
my God. She is such a mastermind. It's wild and it's so, it's so good. Oh
No,
my
it
God.
is so good. And it just comes back to that whole thing of her speaking lies but not thinking them. And it's just so good.
It's wild. Well, now that we've pulled at all of the threads for these chapters, let's pluck some petals because it's rosebud, thorn, and trim time. It's our recurring segment where we share scenes that shattered us to the ones that we would happily snip out. We are laying it all out. Alex, what's blooming for you this week?
All right. So my rose of these chapters is watching Bryn's friendships with Kai. Yes, Kai and Messer. The scene where Messer demands that she's the best to beat for him to be commander is just everything to me. I know we always get a lot of amazing scenes of romance in these types of novels, but it's always so lovely when we get a powerful scene of friendship as well.
Agree.
This society is known for looking down on women and that they're not warriors, which is probably why Bryn wasn't chosen in the first place for the battle.
Right.
But Messer is like, fuck that shit. She's the best and she's my best friend and I respect her. And it's just so juicy and delicious and I love it.
No, I completely agree. My rose was also the friendship between Bren and Messer. And I just really like seeing their bond unfold because it's so tender, it's so protective, and completely platonic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Even
the
though
way
Messer's
that,
thought about it once.
Many
of
times.
course,
He is a
Yeah.
rake. So
Yeah.
But also, she just feels so deeply whenever he's hurt by his dad or just. I think she sees through that like playful demeanor and just really wants to like see him shine in who he is. And like, not to mention the fact that we find out how adventurous he is. He just abandons everything. He's like, you know what? Let's go. I'm a bird.
yeah. I'm a
Let's head
bird.
out.
If you're a bird, I'm a bird.
If you're a bird, I'm a bird. I'd be a bird too. Like if I needed to fly away and escape and just like feel the air, you know what I mean? That would be
Yeah.
the animal to choose
I
where you
mean,
could fly away
he's
from your
also
shit.
a magic bird who can eat people, which is not
Which
too bad.
is not too bad because he saw it in a book, which is wild. I agree. There's a couple roses for me. Obviously, I can't choose. But for me, the friendships that we get to witness in the first chapters are really great. Like Messer's respect for Bryn. Yes, he's chaotic. Yes, he's kissing forbidden girls and he's starting like
I
roach
love that.
wars. The roach
Ugh.
wars are just so funny. But when he insists on dueling her for commander, it's just respect. And again, going back to when I said earlier that in a world where women aren't meant to lead, he sees her as the final boss and like the respect. And then, you know, later on, now that we know that he was the bird that she nursed back to health, and like all of these things are just like really beautiful storytelling points. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I feel like also for me, the glimpses we got that there was so much more to the story to come with when she's dreaming of the land that she's never seen, or when she calls the dagger from the sea. I just see that I was like, okay, here we go, here's the magic. And you know, we love magic. It's just like, I love that stuff.
Well, interestingly, so the calling the dagger is my thorn.
It is
Yes.
Oh,
Like I
take us
didn't
into your thorn.
I
okay.
know. I didn't hate it. It is a cool moment, but also let's talk about the fact that it's in a place that supposedly has no magic, and Bryn is just out here like force summoning a weapon with zero prior magic training or awareness, and then I don't know. It just feels very suspicious to me, and all I could completely forgive it given everything else, but then the fact that there is no reaction afterward, no internal monologue, no just what the hell is that? Nothing. She's just pulling off a magical feat and then is just moving on as if it's completely normal.
Do you feel like Acker got the knife then and made her feel like it was her?
No.
No, I think it was her.
Okay, you just don't
No.
like.
I just don't like that it wasn't acknowledged that through all of this, it's like there's no magic here. Nobody has abilities.
Yeah.
Da 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 da. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden she's just like,
Yeah.
So I do think the Hearthstone works differently, though. It's a
Yeah.
different type of magic that ties you to an object, so it doesn't rely on the land or magic or
Yeah. That
anything.
makes
It's
sense.
a because you made the weapon and your magic. It's like a mate connection almost. Like you're never going to be without that connection. So I don't
Yeah.
think it has anything to do with like the awakening and that type of magic.
Yeah.
No, but the fact that there was no internal dialogue
Right.
about how weird it was that it worked
But she
for
doesn't
her.
have a lot of internal dialogue, as we know.
She does not. She does not. Yeah. I don't know.
But
What do you
I
guys?
see what you're saying though, totally. Like she just did magic for the first time. She should have been a little bit more like, holy shit, I did magic for the
Yeah,
first time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just a little bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Well, my thorn is different. I really don't like that the first time Kai tells her he loves her is after they've agreed to use his powers on her.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
genuinely think, especially at this point in the story, that their relationship is real and that they do love each other because she doesn't know about Acker and all of that yet. It's their version of love as much as they can love each other without a match bond.
Totally.
So it really feels like this greatly cheapens their relationship. And granted, I know when you're reading it the first time, you don't know that as a reader, but going back and you know then that it's his powers, it's just not really the first time they should have been saying it. Like,
No.
and I almost feel like she probably is even a little surprised that he went that far. Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually I agree with you. Like Kai, some of his like I don't know, his character is kind of inconsistent early on. Obviously, I know we have like all of these different narratives playing out, the rebellion, his father, their relationship, their friendship, what he knows about her, what he doesn't know about her, like whatever that is. But that is like it just feels a little bit manipulative
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like a red flag to me.
well,
It's like, ugh.
she does say, I think it's when they're on the boat and she's thinking back to like what Kai is up to in her absence. She makes it seem like he's the type of person that he has tons of plans in motion. He's gonna get to his goal no matter what the cost
Right,
is.
exactly. And that makes
Yeah.
me feel like, you know, not spoilers for Akatar, but the guy that we thought was the good guy in the beginning was the bad
Right.
guy. And so it's kind of like it just gives me a little bit of doubt. And like I don't know, the I love you moment in that part was a little bit cringe, and then layer it with like
Mm-hmm.
magical influence. There's just like a lot of questions there, which is why for me I don't really want a Kai POV, but also I'm like we a little bit of clarity on his like inner conflict wouldn't hurt at all.
Yeah.
But also the thorn, I also am just kind of like the magic oaths require dirt. And Ren has what, like a hoarder secret stash
Secret
of
stash.
soil?
I just
Like,
pictured it as like a tiny little bottle.
like, like a
I pictured it
jar
as like
of
a little
like a jar of
yeah.
mist.
Like his jar, his jar of mist.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
was picturing like a little tiny
Yeah.
potion bottle.
Yeah,
Just like
it's
he's like, gotta
intriguing.
do something.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
here's
intriguing, but right now I'm just kind of like it feels like a metaphorical plot point. Like here's the soil in a very like literal world where I don't know. I'm just kind of like, tell me more. There's like, tell me more.
Picking a trim for these chapters was honestly a struggle.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Me too.
I mean, the pace moves, everything feels intentional, even if at the time it doesn't necessarily feel intentional. Like the smallest moments end up being like those cosmic breadcrumbs. But if I had to snip something out, it would be how Bryn is pinned as the scapegoat for the Kenta explosion. Initially on the ship. Obviously, we
Right.
know that Aurora was, but like on the ship, everyone was being like super hostile and angry at her,
But I feel
as
like
they apparently do.
yeah, but I feel like that was strategic, right? Like it further established the chain of, and it also gave us a little bit of insight as to why her conditioning is the way it is,
Mhm.
with like I'm not powerful, I'm the lowest on the food chain, you shouldn't love
Everyone
me.
hates
Like
me.
everyone hates me.
It
So
always blames me for
self-deprecating.
everything.
Yeah, and if that didn't happen, then we wouldn't have the beautiful scene of the roaches.
Ugh.
Well, that's funny because that's my trim.
So basically, we all agree that the ship scene
Yeah,
going
yeah.
home.
I
Yeah.
agreed there was like not much to trim in the story, but if
Yeah.
I like gun to my head, I had to pick something. It was the prank with the roaches because I was like, this is dumb.
Gross.
But I feel like there has to be another something in there because I think she asked him, she was like, how did you do that? And he was like, I have my like
Have
ways or
my
something.
ways. Mm-hmm.
So like there's definitely, we know he's a shapeshifter, but can he also control animals? Can he control nature in some way, shape, or form? Like how did he get every single roach to go onto that hammock? Like
I
how?
bet he became a roach and gathered them all up and
He
was like,
gathered them
hey
all together.
guys,
I
He's
come on.
hate
Commander
it.
Roach.
I hate it so much.
But that's the thing is, like, I wouldn't actually take that part out of the book, but it's
Yeah.
just because if we have to choose a trim, that would
Yeah.
be it. But I would actually, like, I would never edit that out. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
I
actually
mean-
love his protective, what he did, how, like, Kai didn't do anything and she didn't want them to do anything, but he was like, no, I'm going to do something. Like, people don't
He's
mess
like,
with my
too
book.
late.
Exactly.
Already done.
Exactly. Too late. And I loved it. Trim for me, sorry, I'm not going to, I had way too many buds than trims. I have way too many buds for like the next book, but for this specific these chapters as well, we don't chapters 1 through 12, we don't know all of the things we know now. And so
Right.
there were so many buds, right? I don't know.
Tell us one of them.
One of them, well, I'll tell you all of them. Obviously in chapters 1 through 12, we're questioning Acker and Bryn's relationship. Like, are they enemies? Are they fated mates? Like royal adversaries, shared bloodline, tragic past? Like, what is it? Whatever they are, something deeply primal obviously connects them, and their magic recognizes each other. So, like, it's very exciting in these chapters to sort of figure out like how that will unfold. I think as romantasy readers, we are leaning in the direction of like, oh, well, they must be mates. And it's the dark, handsome stranger that she has some pull towards, that she's fighting against. Like we already kind of know, but that's always a bud. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the story.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point. It's the whole point. I also think, you know, some of my roses in the beginning, like which is still remains a bud, like what's happening to those ships. I think that's really interesting. Like Forgotten Power of the Water, or like with something or someone, like all of that stuff is I'm super intrigued about. Her sketches and drawing Acker's eyes from the sketches in these chapters is also really interesting. We find out later why that felt like something that I was super excited about in these chapters.
I also love that he got to see her the whole time while she's doing that.
Yeah, which is amazing.
I love it.
With what we know, of course.
Yeah.
And then Grenadine's whole character arc. I'm like, who is this cranky bitch? Like to me, she's like the old cat lady, the old single cat lady that never got married, is just like she's like the local witch, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm so excited. And now we know we got some hints as to her journey later in the book, but like she clearly knows things. She sees everything. She doesn't snitch on Bryn, and she definitely notices that Acker is there. Is she an informant? Is she playing long game? Did she know this was going to happen? Does she also know the future? Like, is that why this happened? Is she there to protect? Like all of these things that we learn later, it's just kind of like, who are you? And I think you're going to matter way more than we know
100%
in these first
agree.
chapters. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Grenadine is definitely my bud as well for those same exact reasons. In these first chapters, it gives the cut out this character energy. Then later on, you get that juicy little reveal.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm betting she's definitely going to bloom into something really big.
Yeah.
I mean,
she has to.
She
got
must.
my eyes on her.
She must. Yeah, for sure.
I have
What about
completely
you?
different buds. It's kind of goes in with my rose. I just love Bryn and Messer's friendship so freaking much. And I know we get to see a little bit more later on in the book, thank God, because when she leaves the island without him, I was like devastated.
Yeah.
And just, spoiler warning for Fourth Wing, he reminds me so much of Riddick, who I also really love. He's a rake. He's funny. He's like, I'm going to protect your back no matter what.
Yeah,
like
loyal sidekick.
Yeah, he's just like the best. And I can't wait to see more of them in this book and the next book. And I love when there is another relationship you're rooting for that isn't the romance.
I agree.
It just really
100%.
rounds out the story and makes it fuller and more juicy. And
the nuance.
Yeah, I'm obsessed.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so
I
excited.
agree.
I can't wait to keep going on this book.
Me too. I've been like dying to deep dive this book with anyone who's read it. I'm like, have you read it? Can we talk about it? Can we talk about it? Because the twist is so insane. I've read for those out there, I'm the resident book psycho, right? I've read literally probably close to at this point 200 romantasy books,
Yeah.
and I have never met a FMC who is this unreliable as a narrator. It's
Yeah.
something I've never seen in a romantasy series. It blows me away. I know some people hate it. There are definitely critiques about this book. That's the reason people don't like it, is they feel like they feel cheated as a reader, that the authors like play tricks on them. But to me, that's what makes the book special. I'm like, I want to be tricked. I don't want to read the same romantasy book 10 times over. I want something new and fresh and something I haven't seen before. So
Yeah.
to me, it's so exciting to then we can also like pick apart her brain and be like, oh my gosh, when was she thinking this? When was she thinking that? When did she know this? It's so fun.
That's it for chapters 1 through 12 of Metal Slinger, where we got forbidden kisses, hidden magic, royal secrets, and a blade that answers to no one but Bryn.
And we are officially in deep. Daggers, betrayals, alleyway tension. And don't get me started on Acker.
Next time, more secrets, more power plays, and a lot more chaos.
So keep your theories hot and your blades close, because chapters 13 through 30 of Metal Slinger, we're going on a voyage and it's about to change everything.
See you next week, babes.
Saucy
Saucy
Scribes
Scribes
out!